Moon Knight, issue number 15. That's right, folks. 15 issues in. The book is still ongoing. It's amazing that this creative team has been going for as long as it has because it's just too good. It's too good. I don't think we as a people are worthy of this book, if that makes sense. A couple of things I need to point out for a second. Is Moon Knight one of the best-selling comics out right now? I've been hearing some mixed reports. There was that thing kind of going around for a minute that Zeb Wells was saying, like, we're losing to Moon Knight, and he's writing the freaking Spider-Man book. Is Moon Knight the top-selling book at Marvel? Can you imagine if that's the case? Can you imagine that we physically live in a reality where Moon Knight is one of the top-performing characters at the big two in all of comic bookdom? I never thought in my life I'd get here. He always was just the side attraction. Like, come to Marvel, we got a weird, crazy dude in the white robe. That's what it always felt like. But he's a number one selling book now, and he's entering into a new phase, a post-MCU phase, of course. What I really like about this book, and I admire Jed MacKay for doing this, I'm sure he wrote this before the show came out too, but it's very much like, we're not trying to copy anything else. We're creating our own identity for Moon Knight, and there's something very impressive about that. So let's try to break this book down. It's going to be very interesting because I think there's a lot packed into this singular issue. I hope we're not here all day, but we'll see what happens. Like most issues of this book, we open up with Dr. Sternum, and we're talking about Marc's dissociative identity disorder, and the reason that she doesn't want to talk about it in their sessions is because I'm here from the Avengers mandated to come see you to talk about the greatest threat that could be the Moon Knight identity. I don't think that's Steven. I don't think it's Jake. I think it's you. And I think now that you're opening yourself up and admitting that you haven't really talked to your alters for a minute, we can finally make some progress. So why don't you tell me where we currently are with some things going on, Marc? And again, this book is known for its cutaways and talking over people as things go on. Essentially, we have a bunch of money in a bag. We're going to give some money to certain people to do things. So for like one of the first times where he is openly accepting one of the other alters to take over, Steven takes over, and he's like, okay, we got some cash, let's go roll some dice. But the first thing he's going to do, because he catches a glimpse of himself in the mirror, he's like, we're not doing this, Marc. We're getting a haircut. Which makes sense. And you'll see there's a theme running through the book that they talk about at the end here. I'm going to bring it up now. When we meet Steven, he is drinking some scotch. So that's what he's going to do. And then we cut back to Marc and his therapist, and it's just like, so your triage, is that what the word is there? I'm not familiar. The term sounds familiar. I should have looked it up what it meant, but I'm assuming there's something about the triage that has to do with like the alters, and it's just interesting thing. So Marc's kind of saying like his place is to be the guy that does the punches. You know, he's the one who spits out the blood in the teeth. He's the one who takes the punches. He does the fighting. The other, they get information. We cut to Steven. We cut to Jake, and Jake is getting his information. Oh, in the best of places, just a grimy old bar. There's Naomi, who's the bartender. She's got an eye patch and purple hair, and we'll see that Jake drinks rum. And now we saw there that Steven was drinking some scotch. Jake is drinking some rum, and he's getting ready to like, so do you know anything about vampires these days and what's going on here? And we cut back to Steven, and Steven's doing some, like dealing and dicing, talking about the film industry, and maybe he's going to there's money in the superhero picks, but there's big money, an untapped market even, is the villains. I have a couple of villains that I've been looking at, and I know through some weird laws, what they say, the son of Sam law, we can't profit off their stories, and who's going to do that? But Steven has a couple pictures of some villains who he knows are not really local, that maybe we could try to see if there's anything to do there. And I'm like, what two distinctive ways to get information? Jake's like, grimy bar, vampires, ask. Steven's like, high rolling, Hollywood Heights, let's ask some industry veterans if they know who these people are. Kind of fun, kind of cool. I like this. And we cut back again to the therapist, and she's like, I know you're up to do this and fight the vampires, but have you asked if either of your alters are up for it? Do you think they'd want to do it? And we see Marc's like, I never really asked. And then we cut back, we see Jake talking to Naomi, and Naomi's brother is a vampire. She calls it his condition. And essentially there's this big thing going on in Chinatown, probably. He's hiding out in Chinatown. There's probably some big thing going on in Chinatown. Also, there's a side plot going on that there's this guy, what's his name? I can't remember what they called his name, but this guy who's after Jake for something stupid. So Jake's going to have to fight a Belgian he keeps calling a Frenchman. It's kind of interesting. We also get a little bit of information from Steven and his sources about the two villains that Marc fought in a couple of the earlier books. The first one, Naman, he is a Greek super assassin, kind of connected to like the Nemean lion, the unbreakable skin. And I'm like, that is something I wasn't even considering when we saw Nemean. I'm like, that is really cool. He's this really intense hunter, a fighter, like a brawler of some sort of like martial art and style. And then, of course, we have the other one, Grand Mal. She is from Carnelia, yes, that is where she is from. And basically, like, her gauntlets allow her to, like, you know, short out the nervous systems and people to cause seizures. And she is just like an insane lady. And the guy that Marc got the information from, like, these are crazy SOBs. I don't think we should make a movie about them. And Steven's like, well, I cannot argue with that. I don't think we should either. So they are officially not going to make a movie about Nemean and Grand Mal. And I'm like, why would you? We just got Moon Knight. There's no way we're getting supporting Moon Knight characters in a thing soon at all. So we cut back to Marc Spector. He's standing on the rooftop looking over his city. And that's when the recurring theme comes in. And you see that Dr. Sternum's like, so what do you drink, Marc? He's like, oh, you asking me out? He's like, nah, Marc, let's be real. You know, Grant drinks the rum. No, Lockley drinks the rum. Like, there's so many, not even that there's so many alters, it's just, it's been a while since you had to, like, talk about them in this run. I keep getting them mixed up. You see that rum is for Jake Lockley and Stephen Grant drinks the scotch. So what is it that Marc Spector drinks? And I don't know why. I love this scene where Marc's just like, vodka, cold ice. I spent a lot of time in Africa, the Middle East, South America, hot places, but a shot of vodka, as cold as you could get it, like an oily bullet of ice in your stomach, no matter where you were, how hot it was, like a piece of Chicago winter. It was how my parents drank it. Besides, I wear white. It stains easy. And I noticed on paper, it's like, yeah, scotch is for the fancy guy. Makes sense. Rum is for, like, the low-level thug. That makes sense. I just like the idea that Marc is like, it's the one connection I pretty much have to who I was. That's why he drinks vodka. I think that is really cool. It's something kind of interesting to explore in that. It's very compelling. I do dig it. And we cut back to Jake. He's just headed through to Chinatown. You know, why not? Let's just get it out of the way. He's going to head down there. But he's attacked by Big Claude. Big Claude is the guy earlier who was like after him. So he kind of starts getting beat up by Claude. And I think that's really interesting. And then you just kind of see again, Sternum's like, so, okay, Jake Lockley and Stephen Grant, they have their places out on the streets. Is there still time for Marc Spector when, you know, you don't really get to do anything aside from working? He's like, oh yeah, I got my uses. And once Jake gets beat up by Big Claude, he comes out as Marc. Marc's going to take the punches and pull the punches too. And I'm like, yep, that is what you should do with that character. I am 100% in support of that. And then we just see like, okay, what's happening now? We're going to go dig up the grave of a vampire of soldier, because the question is now, okay, your alters are doing okay with your like mission to fight the vampires and this tutor guy. How about everybody else in your personal, you know, like life right now? So we see the scene of Soldier. When Soldier finds out about Marc's DID, he could care less. He's like, you do you, dude. I'm here with you to the end, whatever you need. He goes to talk to Hunter's Moon. Immediately gets punched in the face, and he's like, why did you hit me? Like, I have an illness. Why did you do this? Like, I don't care about your illness. Like, that is just one of the things that works for you, because Khonshu has, what he says, like, Khonshu has always had many faces, as it has fists, you know, through the gift of the chorus. But I hit you because your idea is stupid. You're just going to go to Chinatown and dig up a monster like an idiot? That's dumb. That's a dumb plan. Then we see with Reese, and Reese is like, okay, so you have this thing wrong with you. And Marc's like, I had a lot of shit happen to me. This is just how my brain processed it, and it's okay, and I've been struggling with this and other things. And Reese is like, okay, like, I get it. You've been through enough, and I haven't known you personally between the other stuff you've dealt with in the past, and frankly, I don't care. I know the person you are now, and you are doing enough. You are doing good. You are getting the work done. You are finding your path, and I support you for that. So she is comfortable with him doing the right thing in that. They have an awkward moment where they decide to hug, and it's kind of cringy but funny. And it's just a sweet little moment. So she's like, so we're doing Chinatown? Yeah, we're doing a Chinatown. We're doing a Chinatown thing, baby. We're going to war with Chinatown. You know, the Moon Crew is going to Chinatown. Awesome. So much to get into here. I love the restraint from Jed McKay to just be like, we can do an entire arc without the alters, then we'll bring them in. You know, then when we do, it's like, let's give them distinctive personalities where you can easily tell them apart. Everybody's happy. Everything's cool. We'll have great writing, great art again. Oh, it's so beautiful. And it moves at such a brisk pace, but every single scene moves so perfectly and fluidly. We're going to war. This whole issue is just, again, a therapist issue where it's like, how you dealing with the shit going on? How are the other people around you dealing with the shit going on? What does it mean to be you? I love that. I love that. It is a beautiful book with great writing, great story. Everything is fantastic. And I am only now realizing while looking at the cover that there are all 3 alters on the cover. I missed seeing Jake in the puddle. Didn't see that every other time I read it. Crazy cool, awesome fun. This book, so fun, awesome, original. Please read it. I want to keep Moon Knight on the top shelves for just ever. If we can get to 20 issues, and I think we're going to get to 20 issues, I hope we can get to 30. I hope we can get to 40. I hope Jed makes this his staple, where he's like, I will write this for as long as they let me on the book, because I'll be honest, it's going to be one of the hardest follow-ups for any creator to come in and try to do a Moon Knight book. I genuinely believe that. This is awesome. Read this book. So Moon Knight, issue number 15, I am going to give a 9 out of 10. Now, thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.